Hey GCD family, my name is Matea and I'm an enrollment counselor here at GCD. Today I am joined by Stefanie Ertel, who is our Dean of Distance Education and also, cool fact, an alumni of GCD as well. So this year is our 20th anniversary. It is our homecoming, and in celebration of our homecoming, we're interviewing a couple of faculty members, a couple of alumni, just some people at GCD. So today I want to talk to Stefanie a little bit about our future, our next 20 years, and what that is going to look like. So welcome, Stefanie. Glad to have you. So my first question for you is, how do you project the relationship with GCD to look like with local churches in the upcoming 20 years?
Well, I think this is such an exciting opportunity because where are our Christian leaders? They're in the church. Mm-hmm. And so as we partner with more churches, we're able to train more Christian leaders. Right. So I think this is such an exciting opportunity that we're going to continue to do, but something we've already started. Mm-hmm. You know, with Manna Church, Our Savior's Church, Grace Church, there's already people and churches that we're partnering with for students, also faculty. So this is broadening the scope of our faculty, broadening the scope of our students, and be able to really impact more people this way.
Right, absolutely. So obviously my next question kind of leads into the global pandemic, leads into COVID-19, how that's affected higher education. So my question for you is, how has COVID-19, just being in this really, really tough time for not only everyone individually, but schools, obviously that's a really tough thing, being in college. So how has COVID-19 at GCD, how have we seen that affect higher education, but more particularly biblical higher education?
So COVID-19 has affected everything, obviously.
Right.
And, colleges, schools, some are closing down, but it's crazy, just all the different effects. But, GCD has really prospered during this time.
Yeah.
And, God is just blessing us in a time that the world may say, this is a really dark time, but God is really blessing us during this time. And so we definitely have seen an increase in our students, and we're actually really just delving into distance education. And we already have been doing a lot of distance education, but just really being able to focus even more on the quality of it so that people that are coming in, they don't feel like they're missing out on the experience that they could have. We want our distance education students to feel like they're getting just as good of education, if not better. And so being able to focus on that, and schools all over the country, that's what they're having to do. They're really having to really invest in different ideas and different resources. And God has really blessed us in the sense that a lot of the things that we were needing to use, we had already begun to use previously. Yeah. And so we're just able to delve into that more. We're able to really press into that more. And, with biblical higher education, it's definitely affected that as well. But people are rethinking their careers. They're rethinking what they want to do with their life. Yeah. And some people are stopping and realizing, where I want to be in full-time vocational ministry. I want to know more about who I am and the calling I have and what God's called me to do. And so people are rethinking this, and they're coming back to Bible college. And so it's really been an impact, but for us, it's been an impact in a good way. And God's taking these circumstances that are not ideal, that none of us would want, but really taking it and using it to glorify Him.
Yeah. How do you think the COVID-19, the impact of that on students, kind of creating that desire to seek higher education and to seek God's purpose for them? What do you think it is about COVID-19 necessarily that is driving students to want to do that?
To further their calling and develop themselves.
Right. Or even just getting into full-time ministry.
Yeah. I think some of it is a lot of just personal reflection during this time too. We've been having time to really think about and really reflect, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah, slow down.
Yeah.
So how do you foresee the impacts of COVID-19 affecting GCD long term?
Well, we have a new normal, and I'm not saying that we're going to stay the way we are forever, but even afterwards, it's definitely going to have an effect on the way people feel about coming into class,
Right.
the way people feel about being around people.
Right.
And so really continuing to invest
Mm-hmm.
and put a lot of time in our distance education is where we need to keep going.
So like I said earlier, you are the Dean of Distance Education, so I assume you're pretty familiar with the efforts that we put into distance education. So do you think that, would it be fair to say that our efforts that we poured into distance education, strengthening that as a part of GCD, building it, making it foundational for us as a school, would you say that that is one of the reasons that COVID-19 hasn't affected us as poorly as other schools have been?
I think some of the reasons would include some of the preparation even beforehand that we started to do even before COVID hit. We were prepared, we were ready. And I think that's just God speaking through us, guiding us, which we've definitely been aware of that. But then moving on and continuing with that as well.
Awesome. So Stefanie, my final question for you, how is distance education at GCD preparing for the next 20 years?
Yeah, so we're continually preparing for the future. We're continually preparing for growth, because how are we going to grow? We have to prepare for those students that are coming in. And so some of those things is we're asking faculty, we're asking students, we're doing research, figuring out the best way to be able to teach the students, to be able to interact, to be able to communicate, to be able to have personal touch even through distance education. So we're doing research, we're talking with people, and we are actively implementing systems and methods to be able to increase the excellence, increase the quality of what we're doing.
Well, thank you so much, GCD family, for joining us today. And thank you to Stefanie for joining us as well, for talking about our next 20 years, our future, and where GCD is going. Be sure to join us next month, where we're going to be talking to a member of faculty and an alumni of GCD. We'll be talking about our history and how we've gotten to where we are today. Well, GCD, we are so blessed to be celebrating our 20-year anniversary with you and excited to be building the next 20 with you.